Hi, welcome everyone. So we're going to be looking at cyber risk management, cyber security. So it's very key in every aspect of organizations. Cybersecurity affects both personal and organizational life. Okay, every aspect of our lives, especially in our digital age now, where we are all running on or living, surviving on IT. Cybersecurity is key. So we cannot, as an organization or even as an individual, run on this life without taking care of our cyber risk. Fraud activities are now being perpetrated. These fraudsters are leveraging on cyber internet security just to defraud vulnerable people. So let's try and get our understanding. Remember this one, yes, sometimes we can use common knowledge, common sense to understand the topics, but there are more technicalities here. So I would suggest that we get used to the technical terminologies which are associated with this particular topic. Okay. So once again, from the email I sent, you realize that the entire cyber risk management focuses on chapters 8, 9, and 10 of the CIMA P3 risk management text, recommended core text. That's what we're using. So chapters 8, 9, and 10, where we're looking at the cyber security threats, the cybersecurity processes, and cybersecurity tools, techniques, and then reporting framework. That's what we're using. So to be better, to be on top of this section, I'll say you have to read more on those texts. Okay, just those texts enough. They have expanded versions of some concepts which they could take time to explain. Okay, the Kaplan publication, I mean. 2020 edition. So use that one. Okay, just get used to it. And then as I present the summarized version of what we have over there. So I'm just going to take you through a summarized version. The video, as usual, will be split into two. Okay, so it will be split into two so that we can at least have more grounds to cover to understand. Don't want it to be quite detailed enough for you to get confused along the line. All right. Any questions, please get in touch with David, myself, and then we'll respond. So very tiny writings here, but I had to just clamp them there. Didn't want to adulterate any of the learning objectives per the CIMA text. Okay. So we want to understand how sensitive information, the company's cybersecurity objectives, and the characteristics of technologies. Okay. Also, we want to see the organization's cybersecurity risk environment, the IT systems, and other changes that could affect the entity's risk program, the cyber risk management programs. And then look at any internal threats, any external threats, types of application attacks, and opportunities created by hackers, the types of hackers. We look at social engineering and social media, how it affects organizations and individuals. And then also look at any downsides arising from cybersecurity breaches, of course. It has a lot of downsides. Then we also look at the corporate risk governance structure that governs cybersecurity risk, the communication to both internal and external users. And then try as much as possible in this module, try to understand how you can implement suitable recommendations, preventive, corrective, okay, detective measures to these particular risks. Any techniques we can use to investigate known or suspected breaches. We'll look at this and then we'll look at the reporting framework. Okay, that's it. So let's move on. So the first part deals with the cybersecurity threats, typically centered on chapter 8 of CIMA's P3 text. Okay, so we're looking at five main items here: the nature, the types of cyber risks, okay, social engineering, social media, and the impact of these, okay. So what is the nature of cyber security, cyber risk, okay, cyber security risk? Every organization holds some information. It could be business information that gives them leverage over competitors. They also hold personal identifiable information about their employees or even about their suppliers, about any individual, okay, information that should not just be released. And also, they also hold classified information that gives them competitive advantage. Sometimes classified information are normally entrusted to them so that they keep it. For example, talk of organizations that print our certificates back home in Africa. I know The university doesn't print its own certificate. It's given to a particular organization. So they need to hold some form of classified information about the organization. But usually, classified information will be held by national entities, the federal governments, okay, information which could harm the nation if it is discovered. So you normally have this classified information within the domain of the government, of the national or regulatory bodies. There are types of organizational technologies that organizations leverage on or use. A lot of them. Okay, talk of the different types of technologies they use. Some will use a ERPS system. Okay, some will use some data collection or data centers, which they use to ensure that they have enough information about their product, their services, about their competitors. There could also be various connections. Some will use VPNs to access information. UWS, we use VPNs. From home, I have to use VPN in order to access the information or my files that are hosted on campus. Okay. We also could use various internet service providers. We use Sky, we use Virgin Media, we use BT, name them. We could also use cloud providers. They help us to store and recover any data that may be lost or that could be harmed. Okay. And also several delivery output to customers and how we transmit these to vendors. So these are technologies we use. Some have names. Most all of them have names. Some are classified. Some just tell you it's a web application. Okay, you may not know how it runs. Audit firms, they use various technologies. KPMG will use technologies like IDEA, interactive data extraction and analysis tool website. It is hosted on the cloud. They have almost all big four have some kind of technologies they use in terms of their operational activities. Okay. Now there are four main objectives that underline cybersecurity processes. One, availability. You can see that today companies can sell 24/7 without having even a physical location. So do we have the available technology, the websites, our applications running continuously to provide what customers need? Talk of Amazon. They trade 24/7. You can go online at any time you buy and you get it at your doorstep because they are having a technology, a system that provides availability at any time. What about confidentiality? So companies have a lot of data they generate from business, from personal, from proprietary information that they gain. Now they must ensure that these data is safeguarded, is secured from unauthorized access and disclosure. And at least for now, we know the Data Protection Act allows you to keep information confidentially. Today or yesterday, I was reading about a publication where this guy went to one of the audit firms and took personal information. I don't know whether for research or not. And he's been arraigned before the law courts because what he did was illegal without the consent of the organization. And whoever granted him access to those information should also be prosecuted, especially if this person is an outsider. That's why in research work, we always go through ethical approval to ensure you don't breach confidentiality or you don't breach these privacy regulations. You put in hot waters if you try. Integrity of data must also be safeguarded from manipulation, unauthorized manipulation, unauthorized modification or distraction. So that's also one objective for cybersecurity. And also we have integrity of processing. Who is processing it? Who is going to use it? Okay, who has that authority? Okay, so we must safeguard it from improper use. You don't just pick my phone number and use it just for any information or any activity, or don't pick my credentials. So we have to always safeguard and ensure that the use of this information is in proper order and is in regulations, is in line with regulations, approved regulations. There are a number of cybersecurity risks that affect organizations. They even affect individuals in our homes. Okay, we all use some form of gadget. Talk of our phones, our tablets, our laptops, even um, smart TVs. Okay, these could be attacked by risk. Okay, a number of them we know already. So one particular cyber security risk is the malware. Okay, now this malware you hear normally saying have been attacked by a virus. Virus is a type of a malware, a spyware. Okay, Trojans, all of this. Okay, so malwares describe different types of malicious softwares, regardless of the purpose. Once it's malicious, regardless of the purpose, whether it's intended to defraud, to just black out your information, just delete your information, just to pump unnecessary elements onto your PC, just to take storage, regardless. Once it is malicious, it is not seen to be in good order. Okay, examples include ransomware. Ransomware from the name ransom, they will normally prevent you from getting your data until you pay a ransom to them, to the one who perpetrated that. We also have botnets, and they are networks of infected computers, and they are usually under the control of an attacker. So this guy has networks of computers. He's just distributing the attacks, trying to ensure that whatever reason he's doing it, only God can tell. Okay, some do it for fun. Some do it with basically most do it with criminal intentions. Then we also have spyware. From the way spy, they go to spy on your information, they pick this information. Sometimes they sell it to some competitors or some terrorist organizations or some criminal organizations. We also have Trojans. You know, Trojan War. What happens? It looked legitimate. I'm giving you a gift, but within the gift, there is something dangerous within. Okay, so it is deceptive. It may look legitimate, but it contains some hidden secret elements that will harm you. Okay, those of you who have watched the Troy movie, you realize how they gave them the Trojan horse. It's a good gift, but within the Trojan horse, there were some um, soldiers who waited till these guys were drunk and came out and killed all of them. So Trojans are very crazy. They try to look like they are clean, giving you some good leverage, but at the end of the day, they'll harm you. Then we have malvertisement, okay, malvertising elements. Online adverts, you see them, you click on them, but within the adverts, there are some malicious codes which have been written. Pick them up and you are gone. Okay, follow the adverts and you are gone. Click on this and you are gone. And of course, the popular virus, which we know, these are malwares. They replicate themselves. They spread through programs, files, and data, corrupting your files, causing your computer not to function as effectively as it should be, stealing your information and using it for criminal activities. Then we have web application attacks. Okay, so they are increasingly common nowadays. We all use some form of applications online. Okay, even our email system sometimes can be attacked, can be hacked. Okay, so they are becoming more common in individual lives, in organizational lives. They are similar to this malware. Their intention is to steal data. They will hide the identity of these users or these attackers, and they are always intended for some terrible consequences on the organization. So let's look at the main types. There are more, but the most common types are the denial of service attack. So they will overwhelm your application. They will prevent you from working using that particular application. Then we have distributor denial of service attack. So here, the source is from a number of host machines, a lot distributed, couple of them, and they are linked to botnets. You remember what botnet means, and they are also under the control of an attacker. So it's like a network of attacks left to just to deny you access to using your applications. Then we have the structured query language, SQL injection. You've heard it. They are normally a program or a specific unique code or language which is written. The intention is usually to manipulate or control databases. Okay, they may prevent you from using that database. So normally it's a query, it's a code. They write it into a database. Once you log in into the website, this attacker is able to access your data, manipulate the data, change figures. You've heard people logging into bank accounts of other people, changing the numbers, wiping out the account. Those are SQLs. We also have the cross-access attacks, okay, cross-site scripting attacks, okay. They normally also occur when a malicious code is transmitted from one website and can access the victim's data. Some of them are interrelated, okay, but they have their specific work ways in which they work, okay. Then we have the MITM, man in the middle. Okay. So the man in the middle is where the application is compromised totally. You see that everybody can log in. So users believe they think they are communicating normally, but actually someone is intercepting their communications and changing them. So you will see people hacking into your phone. You might think I don't know whether you've seen this. So the person you are talking to someone, but the person is actually connecting you to some other person. Okay, so someone is standing behind. This is what normally people use to put guys in to go guys with moral deficiencies. Let me put it that way. So you see, they go online, they're chatting with somebody, they think they are chatting with someone genuinely, but there's someone standing behind who has connected that chat to someone else. So you'll be talking to someone on phone, on a video, and you think you are chatting with this person. No, someone is standing there watching you, programming it, trying to manipulate it. You end up, and so you see it, you end up somebody saying, you want to watch a nude of the person. Let me put it straightforward, okay? So they go in, they want to watch the nudes of a lady. The lady will also ask you, "Can I also see you?" And you think you are the person chatting with the person directly. No, that guy has programmed in such a way that you are chatting with someone. They can even change the voice. So normally, you look at the lip of the person, you realize it's not matching with the language because they are picking some, excuse me to say, some porn site movie with a sequentially structured line, and then the person is speaking. Look at the lips. You see the person is not really saying what was intended because they've done some recording, and you might think you are genuinely going to have some pleasure, some fun, and only to know you are being recorded, and they use it against you. They get back to you and say, "Okay, we got you now. Um, you have to pay this, otherwise we are going to spread it on the internet." So man in the middle is quite a crazy element being used, especially in the underdeveloped world, where people use this to blackmail people. They try to use to extort money. Otherwise, they will flow it. You'll be hearing the stories in recent times when, I don't want to mention names, when some popular guys, celebrities, videos are being released online because there's somebody working at the background doing all this crazy stuff. We also have the buffer overflow attack. It's a type of attack. It will overwhelm your system's resources. Now, in this case, excess data will override existing data. So they plug in excess overflow of data, and at the end of the day, the one you need to work, will not function. Okay. Now, we also have some threats to cybersecurity, hackers. Some are ethical, some are not ethical. Who are these? Let's see. They will gain unauthorized access to your computer system. It can be employees within the organization who are disgruntled, they are not happy. They will just log into the system and destroy stuff or just prevent you from working. They can also be external guys. So competitors, national states, they log into your system. Okay, the WikiLeaks, the recent leaks. Okay, those are normally done by some clever hackers. Sometimes they call themselves investigative journalists, but some are with evil intentions, honestly. So, because you cannot log into someone's system unauthorized and then think you are using it for the public interest. I mean, use the genuine way to get the public interest at heart. Now, there are various reasons why they could gain unauthorized access. Like I said, some are not happy with the system. Okay. But again, they want to gain access to codes, to passwords, to authorizations limits so that they can bypass the system and do their own thing. Some want to interfere with the systems to gain access, open access to the system because they are not getting it. So what they have to do is to bypass the controls and hack into the system. Others want to use this information for competitors, for competition, to gain a competitive edge. And some people will just hack into your system, corrupt your data, delete your data. That's all. They don't need it for anything. They just delete it and go away. Now, whatever the reason, hackers are very skillful, very clever guys who write codes, who develop programming languages. Okay. There are two types, like I said, the unethical. So they are the typical guys who access your system without permission, with evil intention. Then we have the ethical. Sometimes organizations themselves will ask someone to hack into their system just to see whether their system is working. So here they will access the organization system with permission, so that the system, the organization can see the weaknesses inherent in their IT system or controls. Okay. We'll look at another concept called the penetration testing later on this particular session. There's also a third type of hackers. They will sit somewhere in the middle, like middlemen. They are not good, they are not bad, but they sell their skill for monetary gain. So I'm there. Come and contact me. You want me to hack into this? Okay, I'll do it. Take my money. Okay. Sometimes it's for a good reason. Sometimes, for example, if someone is being prosecuted, the person is trying to hide information, the person is not coming, not forthcoming. What do we do? Sometimes we have to hack into his account or into his systems and try to see whether what he's doing is in the public interest or not. Okay. All right. So those are the middle guys. And then we have this, we all know social engineering. You might have heard it, okay, where we try to manipulate people so that they can perform some specific tasks or use them to reveal some confidential information. Okay, some of them are they'll put you under some duress, some they will try to hypnotize you. Social engineering. Okay, now studies by one Dr. Robert Cialdini identify 6 principles people will use to influence others to socially engineer you. Okay, so these are three. One, reciprocity. I'll do something good for you. I give you good marks in your exams, though you don't deserve it. And I expect you to also give me something in return. They manipulate you, okay? Give and take, okay? Then we have scarcity. Something is in short supply, so it's valuable. Hey, you don't have this, I have it. I can give it to you. So I influence you to come for it, okay? Maybe any resource, name any resource I have and you don't have, and you need it terribly, you need it to survive. I use it to manipulate and to get you. Authority. If I have authority over you, I hold so much power. I'm the expert. I'm the lecturer. I know this. So come and let me give you some guidance on your coursework, on your exams. I'll help you to pass. Then I use that one to manipulate you. Okay. Also, consistency. I realize that this guy does this always. He uses this route. He sits at this point in the library. He will use this particular lane when going home. So I've been able to predict every day after work he will go to this pub. On Fridays he will be there. So consistently, I can see this guy's behavior. What I'll have to do is that I'll trail him, use him, can also meet you and say, hey, you, I know you. You work at this place. You always use this lane. You sit at this pub. You watch Champions League on Wednesdays. Just predictability of behavior and expected patterns, and use that one to manipulate the person. Like in Birds of the Same Feathers, I'm an African. I see a fellow African. We are all the same from Ghana. We speak the same language, and I use that to manipulate, to get that person, to influence that person to do something against his or her will. Then consensus building, following after the behavioral norms of others. So let's follow this trait. Let's see whether it will get it. So you want to be like someone, okay? You want to be like me. You come to me, and since I know you want to be like me, I use that opportunity to manipulate, okay, to negatively influence you and to use it for my own advantage against your will, okay? So these are examples of ways people use to socially engineer, okay? People use these to socially engineer others. Okay. Now, there are also other techniques which we normally may have come across. One, we call it the phishing. Okay. And then we have, you might have heard what phishing is, or the word phishing you might have come across, or even what it implies. Now, phishing is a technique and it is normally split into two. We have the phishing and we have the spear phishing. Now, phishing deals with social engineering techniques as well. They are also used to gain access into networks, okay, by hackers. And hackers will normally use these means to also have their own way. Now we have it is purely fraudulent, okay, purely fraudulent communication systems. So they could impersonate someone's text messages, emails, still their sensitive information. So phishing is very key. You see someone logging into the university system and telling you that your email system or is flooded, you don't have so much space in your email. Therefore, and you might even think this mail is coming from the head of department or the IT department. But for all you know, this guy is a criminal trying to defraud you. Okay. Then we also have spear phishing. So it's also a phishing attempt targeted at a particular individual whom we think has some privileged information we don't have. So I'm targeting the vice chancellor because he has some information very key that I think I can leverage on, use it against him for my own personal advantage. So phishing is quite dominant recently, and I've seen it in the universities where people will normally hack into people's emails, send some email here you might think is genuine. Okay. Now social media, we all use social media, don't we? the Twitter, the IG, the WhatsApp, name them, Facebooks. Okay, so a range of websites, they provide various types of social interactions. There are risks. There are risks of social media to individuals, to organizations. Okay, let's look at it. The risk to organizations are various. There are a lot. Human error. So an employee makes an error on his personal account, and maybe it is linked to the organization's account, or using the organization's Facebook account and mistakenly pop something out there. Productivity. Also, when I'm at the workplace, I'm always on my social media handle. I may not produce something better. I will end up committing errors. Okay, I'll be distracted because I'm always following the news on Twitter, on IG, name them. And also data protection. Increased regulatory requirements around is protecting personally identifiable information that could be gained from social media websites. So the reality here is that people are going out there looking out for social media, picking information about organizations and pumping it out. Okay. Hacking. People will also hack. People will also hack into the system's social media handles, and then they will try to send messages as if they are the organization posing those information. So you might think BT is the one online sending this information, but someone is accessing their information. Again, social media could lead to reputational risks. Some well-meaning posts we put out there could be totally misinterpreted. So be careful what you post there if you are the one in charge for the organization's social media handle. And inactivity, if you don't keep a social media account active, somebody could use it. Once they know that you are not really using your handle. I went off Facebook for years, only for me to realize that I need to come out. So when I came, I just changed my initial, like, because sometimes you see organizations going onto your social media to track what you've been doing online, and it happens. We look at the risk to individuals. Now, the cost could also be significant. So using social media could lead to significant costs. It could lead to fines if you don't use it in the right way. You're using it for wrong purposes. To the individuals, like I'm saying, anything you post could go viral. An unknown person can become famous at the twinkle of an eye. Okay. And so always remember there's always an upside and also a downside. Okay. You do something bad, it goes viral. You remember Black Lives Matter. It was just a little one person, somebody arresting a black man, and before he realized, he thought he was doing his work. And what happened? Everything went viral and became a whole global movement. Trolling going viral for a bad reason could lead to abusive responses, and it could also cite some individuals to act against you. So you see people trolling you, using words against you, telling you all sorts of things. Scott Travis, you heard his story. Okay, all of a sudden, he's now in the news because he organized a concert and people are injured and people, I don't know whether someone is dead. And now everybody is saying, let's sue him. Legal suit held against him. Employment, like I said, most organizations will now go onto your social media handle and look at your profile, especially the professional handles like LinkedIn. I've had my situation where employers will go using the premium account or the what's that? There's another mode, a concealed mode, where they use hidden mode to find information about you to see whether you are the right person for the job or you have some other things out there. There could also be legal sanctions. Don't use your social media well, and you realize that you could face the court, the crime. To become a criminal act, you could face legal prosecutions. Then physical theft. Criminals will identify vacant properties to target from social media posts. So sometimes you post, you have a home you are selling, you have a car you are selling. Some criminals could could chat with you, thinking you think this is a genuine person coming to buy your car, and if you're not careful, they come in and steal your car. Okay, and also identity fraud. Somebody will pose as if he's the one. Okay, so when you are building any portfolio online, make sure you hide those security features. Don't allow everyone to tag you. Limit who can see your post. Limit who can see your pictures, your profile, your anything about you. Limit it to contacts only, to contacts you can trust. Okay. Otherwise, individuals from poorly protected accounts, individuals with poorly protected accounts can be can be hacked. People can use your system and they just tag you on unnecessary posts. Okay. Then also permanence is also one key risk. Social media can be difficult to delete. You think you've deleted it, Facebook is keeping it in an archive. After 5 years before they delete it, even when people pass away, people die, their accounts are there. And if you're not careful, somebody can log into your dead person's account and use it to manipulate things against them. Okay. All right. And again, vulnerabilities. After this, I think I'll pause the video and I'll do the second part of the video just to make it short. Okay. So risk of security vulnerabilities, organizational changes, what could happen? Okay, so once this happen, changes could occur in the organization. So be aware how you can change your organization because it could impact your cyber security. Example, when you are acquiring new systems, okay, when you're acquiring new systems, you should also, it could create cyber security vulnerabilities. So be careful how you integrate your system to new ones, replacing old ones with new ones. It could create cybersecurity vulnerabilities, loopholes for people to leverage on. Again, when you are restructuring, what about restructuring? A change in roles for individuals will also create potential security issues. And moving from treasury to head of finance, if we are not able to close that loop quickly and we leave it hanging, there could be any chance for someone to work in between. Okay, so make sure that appropriate permissions are held. If I'm moving from treasury to finance, whatever takes over the treasury should have gone through all the necessary sanctions or all the necessary approvals before the person takes over. So permissions, appropriate permissions. Then there could be also regulatory changes. Once changes occur in terms of data protection, let's comply. Let's make sure we are up to date with the latest Data Protection Act. Okay. And then again, changeover methods that we could use. There are normally four. These are some of them, but normally these four normally occurs. Directly switch off the old system and bring on the new one. Okay. So old system is totally off. Bring on the new one. Usually they are cheap, but they can be risky. Okay, for example, we all use Model, we use Aula. We decide to switch off Model all of a sudden and pick Aula. Very, very cheap sometimes, mostly very cheap, but can be risky. You could lose all the data on Model. Sometimes we allow the old system to run parallel to the new system. Okay, this one is more or less duplication. Okay, it's less risky because we want to see whether the new system can really take over the old system. But it gets very costly. Okay. Then we can also pilot by running one system at a time. Let's see how it works out. Let's roll it out. If we think it works, we can use it. If it reduces risk, we can use that pilot. If it's not, we can throw it off and use another one. Then we have the phased one, step by step. Don't just throw off the old system. Run it in stages so that you can phase it out gradually over time. This is less risky, but it takes longer time for us to implement. All right. So finally, what are the impacts of security vulnerabilities? So the impacts are a lot. Okay, the impacts are a lot. The organization who allows the system to be vulnerable to security breaches will always have issues with performance or with profitability. It occurs. Okay. Now there are some examples of potential issues that could be caused by cybersecurities, but the potential ones are more serious, increasing over time. Now we have downtime. One of the key objectives is availability. If it's not available, there could be downtime. Okay, you'll not be able to work, so you have potential issues. Okay, customer flight is also associated with downtime. There are so many alternative sources now, so downtimes can cause me to move somewhere. My internet goes off, freezes. I'll leave Virgin Media and join Sky. Okay, also, because maybe someone is hacking the system, it's not allowing their internet to run as it should be. There could also be reputational damage, like I said. If you allow your system to be susceptible to cyber attacks, then you know your organization stands the risk of reputational damage. And you could also incur consequences in terms of legal battles if you allow this to run. Because at the end of the day, you are breaching the general data protection rules, and this could cause lead you to some serious, terrible legal tussles. All right, so I'll leave it here. The next section of the video will look at the scope, the cyber security processes. Okay, the next one we'll look at the cyber security processes. So I'll leave it here, and then we'll do another video for that one. Thank you. See you soon.